So after 5 years of not living in the US, I'm back. Okay, and when I first left, I left with Logan Paul and Jake Paul to Puerto Rico to save a ton of money in taxes. A lot of us did that. But then I left to Dominican Republic because my family is there. I'm from there. I never had the chance to actually live there, and also cost of living is super low. For $1,200, I was basically living like a king over there. And here in Oklahoma, I'm spending about $1,075 on rent, and I'm not really living like a king, if I'm being honest with you, okay? But I live a good lifestyle. Like, I can't really complain, okay? God is good. But here are the questions I want to answer, okay? Tommy, are you going to stay in the US now? Why did you come here in the first place? Why not just stay in Dominican Republic and live that lifestyle like a king? And by the way, I have videos on the apartment and the type of lifestyle I live over there. So if you don't believe me, go watch that video. And that apartment costs about $250 per month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, okay? It's crazy, but it is true. Now, the very first reason, guys, I'm actually here in the US is because although my family is in Dominican Republic, although I save a ton of money in Dominican Republic, well, not all of my decisions are just going to be based on money and finances. There are some things that influence my life a lot more. So one of the main things is basically I don't have community in Dominican Republic. And you might say, Tommy, what do you mean you don't have community in Dominican Republic? You're from there. Your people are from there. You have family there. And on top of that, you save a ton of money. So what do you mean you don't have community? The answer is, well, I've changed a lot. And if you've been following me for a long time, you know how much I changed. Because when I was in New York, all I cared about was just making a ton of money. Make a ton of money, make a ton of money. And that's why I basically left to Puerto Rico to make a ton of money and save a ton of money on taxes. But once I made enough money, I was just like, well, what's next? What do I do now? I got to a point where I could finally say money doesn't matter. And when you're there, now you have to question, well, what do I do now? And that just led me to Dominican Republic. I got married, I had a baby, and when I had a baby, well, something also changed. What am I going to value now? How am I going to raise this child? What do I really want out of life? Where do I want to actually set some roots down? A lot of questions. Here are the main changes in my life, okay? So I want to live on a farm, which sounds crazy. I'm from the city. I want to have a lot of children, which sounds crazy because before I didn't even really like kids, honestly. And I also want to live off the land and I want to homeschool. And all of these things would have sounded crazy to me about 5 years ago when I was living in New York in my mom's apartment. I had no idea, no interest in any of these things whatsoever. And I thought that basically once I learned about all these things, once I basically became a dad and I got married for the most part, that's when things actually got really serious in my life. I thought being in Dominican Republic, a third world country that's based on agriculture and tourism, I thought these ideas were going to be well received. The answer is no. A lot of people that live, for example, in a homestead, well, those people are usually going to be looked down upon, because it's like you live there because you're poor. You should be thriving for more. It's okay to have like a piece of land where you kind of visit and you have your animals and so on, but it's not really okay to live there. To have a lot of kids, you might think that, well, kids are a blessing and that was going to be well received, but the answer is not really. A lot of people see kids as not a blessing, expensive, annoying. So that was another thing I faced, which was basically I thought these people specifically would understand these values and would appreciate them. And when I said I want to homeschool my kids, well, that was just the end of it. Like, that is just insanity. But here, though, in Oklahoma specifically, these are well received ideas. There is a massive amount of people that live this way, that practice this, not just only think about it like I was thinking about it, okay? And you might say, Tommy, why does that even matter? Why do you care what other people think of you or your ideas? The truth is, guys, I can tell you I don't care, but honestly, we tend to care a lot more than we tend to admit. And the truth is that, let's say you and I think alike, and it's about like 5 of us, and we think alike. Most people don't think like us, but we have each other to kind of bounce ideas back and forth. But I didn't have a single person, not a soul, that wanted these things. Almost all the people around me, for the most part, had no ambition to have a homestead or live off land or have a lot of children or even homeschool. Like, none of those ideas were actually a thing there. So being here is for community. It does feel good to be around people that when you talk about these things, you're not automatically greeted with, "That's just crazy. You shouldn't do that," okay? Because at the end of the day, you're going to be the average of the 5 people around you. So if all you have around you are people that don't think like that, you're going to eventually succumb to them or just become like a loner. And I'm not really big into being a loner for the most part. Now, the second reason I'm actually here is because it's almost like my training day. I don't know how long I'm going to be in the US. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be longer. I don't know. I can't tell you that, okay? But the main reason I'm here also is because I'm around people that share my faith, which is very motivating and very important to me. Also around people that have animals and they have gardens. So while I'm here, it's been like 3 months. I already got 2 dogs and 8 chickens and a small garden and 4 garden beds. So I'm gonna use all the time I have to learn how to build things, to learn how to grow things, and to learn how to take care of animals for the most part, okay? In this small backyard I have here, which to me is like 1,000 acres compared to what I had in Dominican Republic, which was basically absolutely nothing. So here, I'm going to use it as my training day. I'm going to use it to experiment, to learn in a receptive environment, to then be able to carry this along somewhere else, okay? That's the overall idea. And as you guys know, I have no experience because I come from the city. And it's so interesting, okay? Because my grandma, my mom's mom, okay, just literally 2 generations ago, she used to live like in a homestead. She had animals. She took care of them. That was her livelihood. And just a generation later, all of that has been forgotten. We don't know how to do anything whatsoever. And I don't think we're actually better off for it. I just don't think that, okay? Now, here's the ultimate question, which is, am I going to stay here permanently? The answer is, honestly, guys, I don't know. I can tell you what I'm thinking, though. And what I'm thinking is to basically stay here in community, to learn as much as I possibly can, and then go back to Dominican Republic, buy a piece of land, build a house, live this way, and hopefully serve as an example for a community or people to see that, hey, this isn't crazy, this is possible, and this is actually better than living in some city and all this other stuff and junk that I don't really want to get into in this video. Um, that's what I hope. But a part of me, honestly, wants to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here and just forget about that whole thing, and just live a calm life here. But a part of me, honestly, just feels like that's just like giving up, because, I was born in Dominican Republic for a reason. And if I'm able to learn something and then pass it on to, I don't really want to say my people because I'm a human being. I'm also American. I was made in the image of God. So it's not really like, oh, these are my people, but like to people. I think all people are great people. I really want to say that. So it's not just like my people, but I want to share it with them, with my comrades, to be able to show them like, hey, this is also a way of life. There's a different way to do things. And that's the whole reason why I'm here right now in the US. So if you've been wondering, Tommy, why are you making videos about Oklahoma now? Why are you making videos in a new office? You keep changing around so much. The answer is, that is why. And I think the more you learn and the more you can have greater convictions with what you know by having evidence, having proof, and having practice, then when you start to execute, you can execute with experience. So you feel a lot more confident in it, even though around you, you might not get that much receptive audience, if you know what I mean, okay? So yeah, that's basically it. That's why I'm here. But let me know exactly, guys, What do you guys think about this? And it's a personal question. You can answer it if you want to. Feel free to. But I'm going to be in the comments down below answering all the comments. But let me know. Have you ever been in a situation where you just feel like you are surrounded with people that just don't think the same way you do? And you want to improve, you want to make changes, you want to live a certain way, but you don't have people around you that can actually help you, motivate you, and just, walk alongside you on that journey. Let me know in the comments down below. Peace.